This is Mark meets Tim Lindsay, CEO of D&AD. Hi Tim.
Hello.
Very good, you okay?
Yeah, very good. Welcome to D&AD.
Thank you. So you've just had to go outside and move your motorbike.
Yeah.
What motorbike do you drive?
It's called it's a BMW, and it's called an R1150 GS Adventure. That's its full title.
Have you always been a motorbike?
Yeah, for my adult life, yeah.
So this isn't like midlife crisis or anything?
No, I actually went through the Harley Davidson phase in my 30s, so anyway, you know, no, it's not. I've done other things that represent the midlife crisis.
Fine. Can you give us a quick summary of your educational background and your career today?
Yeah. Well, I went to Cambridge and read English at Cambridge. I got into advertising. Had a son quite unexpectedly early, and so I was sort of pointed toward journalism, but advertising kind of, you know, was a more immediate source of funds. And I've studied it all my career. I really liked it a lot. I've had the real good fortune to work at some great places. I worked for 10 years at BBH from the sort of start of that agency.
What was your job title when you first started?
I was a trainee account executive.
Okay.
And I rose, you know, through the ranks. I was the account director on Levi's through the years at BBH, so it's all that 501 stuff, which you're too young to remember. And then I spent 12 years altogether, but in two bits, at an agency called Lowe Howard Spink, which was a fantastic agency, founded by Frank Lowe and Jeff Howard Spink. And I worked on I was managing director there, and then I was CEO, and then I was eventually president of Lowe Worldwide. It merged with a big network called Lindsay. And then latterly, my last two sort of stints were I was chairman publicist in the UK, and then president of TWA in the UK and Ireland. So I've been here and there. I've even left a couple out actually there. But but BBH and Lowe's were my sort of big, you know, they were the kind of long hauls, as it were.
Fine, and that was pretty quick, to be fair.
Okay, good.
And how long have you been at D&AD for?
I started on September 1st last year, so whatever that is, about 5 months now, 6 months.
And why D&AD?
Well, that's a very good question. The immediate reason was that I was on the exec, so the previous CEO, who's a good friend of mine called Tim Kennedy, got me onto the exec because he, you know, wanted me to help him out with some stuff. And so the exec are basically elected, awarded creative people, but there's a couple of slots for nominated trustees. It's technical jargon because it's so he was able to get me on. Then Tim had a deal that he would go and do a childcare stint if his partner's sort of business took off, which it did. So they moved back to Ireland. He's now looking after kids in the west of Ireland, and I decided that I would really like to do this job. And the reason I love it, I genuinely love it. And this is going to sound really kind of creepy when I say it, but it's the truth. If I've had success in my career, which I have, it's been almost entirely down to the efforts of creative people, because what I did was sell their work and get it on air, or in newspapers, or wherever it went. And D&AD exists to sort of nurture excellence in creative excellence in business communication. And it is genuinely an opportunity to get involved and put a bit back.
Yeah. But
also, my day job now consists of talking to, you know, intelligent and pleasant people about interesting things, which is not bad. That's probably answered the later question.
If you could work, perfect. If you could work for any agency, in the world, who would it be? Right.
Oh God, that's really. The advertising scene in Sao Paulo is absolutely jumping at the moment. I was there about 3 months ago.
What are they doing differently?
They do fantastic creative work. I mean, not all of it is for, you know, their big clients, so they look for, shall we say, opportunities to do good work. They're really committed to quality. They're committed to kind of youth. They have a fantastic time being Brazilian. It's sort of in their DNA. It's a wonderful city, albeit slightly terrifyingly large. It reminded me when I was there for, you know, however many days it was, of the sort of British ad scene in the 80s, which seemed to me to have something of the same sort of vibrancy and, you know, and excellence. So I'm working somewhere I don't know, like Wyden or, you know, I don't know, near Garma, BBH or something in South Harbour would be great. I've always admired Crispin Porter-Pogusky, and I like skiing, so Boulder, Colorado would be a bad place to be. But I suppose if you want to be, you know, not so much cutting edge creatively, but sort of where the kind of commercial action is, I guess, you know, working in somewhere in Shanghai, you know, a BBH in Shanghai or something like that would be very, very exciting. Just because it's such a, you know, exciting environment, sort of high growth environment.
If you could turn back time, what would you do differently in your career?
Oh, blimey. Well, leaving BBH was a big wrench. I mean, it was, you know, the people who I worked with there and who stayed, you know, have participated in the making of a really fantastic network and have made loads of money. But I had a great time as well, and, you know, doing different things at Lowe and so on. So that wasn't necessarily a mistake. If I really could turn back time and have my time again, I'd be a journalist.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to people that are looking to get into the industry today?
You just got to keep trying. My daughter's just got a job with, actually, as a WPP fellow.
Obviously no help from you.
No, honestly, no help from me, actually. I mean, I think if anything, I'm probably a bit of a hindrance when it comes to WPP. Anyway. But, you know, she had a great educational background and wonderful degree and all the rest of it. And, you know, she struggled. And a lot of her mates right now, you know, who left university the end of the last academic year, still don't have jobs. It's a really, really tough environment. You know, one of the reasons D&AD exists is to help people from creative education, you know, students in creative courses, get into the business. So my advice would be to keep trying. If you really want to get in, you will get in the end. But boy, do you need to persist.
What's the best thing about what has been the best thing about agency life for you?
The best thing about agency life has been working in two agencies that were really hugely respected by their clients, where the clients listened and wanted to be shown the right thing to do and expected to be challenged and surprised. So working in that position of sort of equality with your clients, not partnership actually is the right word, where they expect you to do something fantastic for them, and you do. That's a really great feeling.
How important is getting a degree and working in this industry?
A degree? I think it is important, I have to tell you, and it shouldn't be. And the reason it's important is because there are so many people applying that the people kind of, you know, looking at the applications use it as a sort of sifting mechanism. Now, a lot of people are well aware that isn't particularly satisfactory, but the whole industry, design, advertising, the digital part of the industry is so overstretched right now that people don't, in general, pay enough attention to recruitment. Now, some people are trying to counteract that. You know, they're looking for talent in places other than universities. But for the most part, you know, that filter does get applied, particularly for planning and account handling.
And when you're hiring people here to work at D&AD, how important is a degree to work?
There are lots of other things that are more important, like, you know, enthusiasm and, you know, a sort of enthusiasm for the world that we inhabit, and computer skills, because a lot of it is, you know, processing, you know, awards entries stuff and so on. So we just look for bright, you know, enthusiastic people, basically.
Who inspires you?
Generally, the people who I find inspiring are people who act out of purely altruistic motives. I mean, I'm talking outside the business, who do things purely out of the goodness of their heart because they want to kind of be a force for good in the world. And inside the business, the people increasingly who I find inspiring are those people who kind of see a sort of purpose beyond profit, who aren't just in it for making money, but who actually have begun to realise that creativity in communication and marketing can be a force for good in the world, and who've started to, you know, utilise it in those ways. And it includes some very big companies that you wouldn't, you know, 5 years ago have associated with those motives.
What are your interests outside of work?
I think on my CV it says cooking, skiing, surfing, motorcycles, dogs, art, literature, and Chelsea.
And when was the last time you updated your CV?
No, that's actually, I've sort of, surfing's gone away a bit, and I'd probably put cycling in there now, but that pretty much covers it, actually.
Okay.
Family, you have to say, but hey, everyone with a family is interested in their family.
In the current economic climate, with things not looking too good, have you ever had the threat of redundancy before at any level that you've been at?
God, that's a really good question. Well, I did fall out with my employers at TBWA, and we parted company slightly acrimoniously. But that wasn't redundancy. That was just not playing the game properly. I don't know, actually. I've never felt threatened by redundancy. But my name may have been on a list unbeknownst to me, at some point. I mean, I've lived through at least 3 recessions, so who knows? Unfortunately, I've had to make a lot of people redundant, which is horrible. And however many times you have to do it is always horrible.
What's been your favourite account to work on?
I'd have to say Levi's.
I knew you were going to say Levi's.
Yeah, it's very boring, isn't it, for me? It just wasn't... It was just fun, and it wasn't... I mean, I like jeans, and I like that whole fashion world. It became a sort of cipher for a lot of what was going on in the 80s, with music and fashion and, youth. And it was just a great thing to be involved in. There were some great clients involved, different ones over a sort of 10-year period. And we did some work that people, who were old enough to remember it still talk about. So it was having to transform the business as well. Jesus. I mean, yeah.
What's your favourite advertising campaign of all time?
Probably Volkswagen. That's quite a boring answer as well.
A lot of people say that, but...
I know, it's been great for a long, long time, since about 1958, and that's quite an achievement. And it is the campaign that is credited with sort of revolutionising advertising in the States, and then that led to a revolution here. I do love it as a campaign, and it's got this unbelievable longevity and a consistency over that time as well. I mean, it's changed, but there is a consistency, between an ad that was written in '59 and some of the stuff that Jeremy Cragen's making, here and now.
What's the most embarrassing thing to happen to you, either on stage, at an event, at work?
God, that's embarrassing. I had poured a pot of coffee over my boss when I was an account executive at Grey, which is where I started. We were going down to some toy company that we had, I can't remember who it was. They made Weebles, I remember. And we were there to save the account and all the rest of it. And my first action wasn't Lindsay was over my boss and not the client.
At the meeting, at the client meeting?
Client meeting, everyone, I poured the coffee, top came off. That was quite embarrassing. I can tell lots of stories about embarrassing things that happened to other people, but I've sort of slightly charmed life in that regard. I've never had my trousers fall down, when I've stood up to address a big audience. I've said the wrong things to big audiences. That was embarrassing, actually. I talked there's a thing called the Pan Asia Advertising Conference, so this was when I was president of Lowe. And it was a time when there was tons of growth in Asia, and they were all fantastically enthusiastic about advertising, and it was sort of real gun. And I gave them this really downbeat presentation about how shit commercials in the commercial break made people turn off or go to the loo or go to make a pot of coffee, and how we all had to fight against shit. It was a really kind of depressing presentation.
Was there anyone left in the audience?
Well, I was politely stayed, but I was told afterwards that I hadn't quite struck the right note, and I was sort of conscious of that as I was giving it as well. So it was quite embarrassing. Yeah.
What's the most outrageous thing you've purchased and thought this is crazy? This is all based on the success of this industry that I work in.
Oh my god, that's easy though. In 1989. When I was still at BBH and working on Levi's, I saw this 1972 Corvette Stingray in orange, and I thought, I've got to have that, so I bought it. And it was a fantastic car. It cost about £1,000 a month just keeping it on the road. It was a bit of a wreck.
How long had you been in the industry then?
12 12 years.
Okay.
Yeah. So I started in 77. So that was...
You earned it.
Yeah, I sort of earned it, I guess, but it was, embarrassingly flamboyant, and it was a great car though. People used to sort of stop and point. It was good.
Fine, let's move on to a quick fire round.
Yes, okay.
Can Lion or D&AD pencil?
In terms of desirability of, no contest pencil.
Fruit or veg?
Fruit.
Art directors or copywriters?
Copywriters.
Apple or Android?
Apple.
Degree or no degree?
Degree.
Ant or Deck?
Oh, I met Deck the other night. He's charming, Deck.
Retained work or pitch work?
Retained.
Web or mobile?
Long-term mobile, I think, yeah.
Who's the best creative you've ever worked with?
Vince Squibb.
The best planner you've ever worked with?
Charlie Roberts, probably.
The best managing director or the best CEO that you've ever worked into?
Nigel.
And the best agency you've worked for?
Lions Bank.
Independent agencies or networked agencies?
Independent every time.
Outsourced production or on-site production?
Outsourced.
Don Draper or Roger Sterling?
Roger Sterling, I think.
And lastly, twist or stick?
Twist.
Thank you very much.
It's my pleasure.